Hi, everybody. So with the Healing Transformations work, it's our intent to help the planet and all upon it to heal and to go to the next level and to add as much light and consciousness as we can. And we'd like to dedicate the merit of this work to our enlightenment and the enlightenment of all beings. May all beings be happy. May they be free of suffering and the causes of suffering. And so it is.
Hey everybody, this is David with Nature Reigns. I've got a guest with me today, Kiki Theo, who is a wealth expansion author and facilitator, a healer, and an alchemical intuitive. And we'll get into a little bit more about that shortly. But Kiki has helped me develop a process that I want to share with you guys, or Kiki has developed a process that I'd like to share with you. Something that I've been passionate about for several years, being in the holistic health circle and helping people with overcoming different kinds of health issues. Kiki, how are you doing?
I'm very good, thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me today.
We can't see you all. Hello, hello, hello.
Yeah. So Kiki's joining us from South Africa today, my old home, and sitting on the beach. Yeah, Cape Town, South Africa, enjoying the almost warm weather there, getting warmer. Kiki, so what I want to talk about today is something that's has been very important to me. And, you know, I've seen people over the years who have had some health conditions and they, you know, change their diet, start exercising, take some of our products, and they're able to overcome these health conditions. And then a couple of years later, the same health condition comes back almost usually in the same location. For instance, I've had one customer who had a brain tumor and, you know, was able to get rid of it. And 5 years later, the same tumor came back in the same place. And I started thinking about what some of the other causes could be for these ailments that you know, people are able to overcome and then they come back. And I started looking into cellular memories and how people store negative emotions in cellular memories. And if you don't deal with that emotion, if you're not able to process that emotion in a healthy way, then you know, it's always going to come back. And you know, we found that it can even be hereditary, and you can pass these things down through the family line. And I believe a lot of ailments that are labeled as hereditary aren't necessarily you know, a predisposition to diabetes or something like that, but it's actually cellular memories that are passed down through the generations. I've been working with you on a personal basis for almost a year now, actually over a year. I think it was July or August of 2020 we started working together. And I've read some of your other books and done some of your other processing and had some amazing clarity and benefits in my personal life. So when we first spoke about this, and I told you that I was looking at working with a psychologist or something, you know, to come up with this process, it just seemed like a really good fit for you to do it. So can you tell us a little bit about the process and where it comes from?
Okay, so basically what I've created is the Healing Transformations for Health. And this is basically transformational energy work that I use in the wealth arena, but this is specifically now in the health arena. So all my work works in bridging the ordinary and non-ordinary reality. So that's quite important, that we're working with the underpinning understanding that everything is energy. And so, yes, as you said, there are beliefs, attitudes, and so on, predispositions, patterns that underpin a person's ordinary, let's say, conscious, normal, day-to-day reality, and they impact on one's world. And now you can talk about it, you can even understand it, but unless you clear it on an energetic level, the thing doesn't really shift as well as it could. So the processing aims to address these beliefs, attitudes, connections. These are the three things. So what I've done is seven processes. So first of all, there's obviously preparation, teaching you how to work with image and so on. Then there are three clearing and releasing processes. I'm trying to read them here. There's the transforming beliefs around health and healing, clearing obstacles to health and healing, and releasing non-beneficial connections. So all these things done on the level of energy will enable a person to clear the obstacles to health. Of course, we're not making any claims to cures and so on, and one has to, go and take their medicine and see their doctor. This is the disclaimer now. But what we're doing here is connecting to health. So we're removing the blocks in the same way that, it's mentioned that we're all enlightened, and what we're doing is removing the obscurations to our enlightenment so that we can go back into our natural state. Our natural state is health, and vibrant health at that. But things happen along the way. So we remove that, and then we connect with health in the next three processes. The next three processes are basically aligning the elements for balance. That is, the elements that we're all made out of. And all of the theory, if you like, is in a book, which will come with the processing. Initially, anyway, it'll come as a free book. Once you buy the processing, you'll get access to the book. So aligning the balancing, then creating your container of health and healing. Containment is a very big aspect of my work. And then renewing faith and trust, which is an important thing. Then all of that in the seventh process will get grounded in a journey where you actually ground and align with health and healing. Because if you don't resonate with health and healing, and of course that's going to happen if you've been unwell for a very long time, if you've got underpinning beliefs and attitudes that contradict health and healing, then no matter how much goodness goes in, it's not going to really give you the result that you want. So what we're trying to do is remove everything that is standing in the way, and we're doing it quite easily, quite effortlessly. The energy work, I'm guiding people through the energy work. It's very light, it's very subtle. I don't believe in, I believe in working very delicately with one's psyche and with one's patterning, because you move one thing, everything reshifts. And then grounding, balancing, and aligning to health. So that is really what we're going to be doing on the processing MP3. And then, as I said, there's a book that goes with it, and the book discusses and actually starts the processing where you can do a lot of writing, and I call it, well, it is right brain processing. That is the precursor to the energy work. So you start by writing, drawing, processing, shifting your reality around health and healing and what that means, and also discovering what do you really believe about it. And then following that, of course, the two can also be done separately. It's not like you have to have the one or the other, but it helps for the two together. It is a process. It's not like an overnight miraculous cure, but in terms of how long conditions go on for, and the same thing, in the wealth expansion journey, which is where I normally have been working for the last 15 years. I mean, I have been doing healing my whole life, so it's not really a deviation. Considering how long one has continued in a particular state, to take a few months to shift is not a long time. But what I'm saying is it's not going to happen overnight. It's not a fast pill cure.
Yeah.
But if you work through it, I think the results are going to be amazing, because you're transforming your psyche on a very deep level.
And I think that's, like you said, somebody who's, 55, 60 years old, probably for 40 of those years, whatever health condition they're dealing with has been building up and building up and building up. And possibly even, from younger and from, the parents has been passed down. So, I've done some of these processes before. I've done some of these workshops where people have to kind of face the traumatic memory, and you go into your subconscious and, pull up this memory. But it can be very kind of violent for the person dealing with it. If you've suppressed a trauma, a car accident or something really bad that happened to you when you were a child, and then now bringing this back up and reliving it can create more trauma, So I really like how you've put this process together, and I'm so excited to be able to offer this to our clients, because it's something, like you said, it's very gentle, it's very soft. You don't even know that you're really working on things in your psyche and working on all of this. You're just doing a process, and it's fun, and it's exciting to kind of draw something on a page and know that your mind has created this, and this imagery is what's inside of you, and it's what you're thinking, and you're just kind of putting it out onto paper. So I really enjoy these processes. And if you could quickly just tell us a little bit about working with non-ordinary reality. What exactly is that, and how does it work?
Well, okay, so it's a big subject. Okay, so basically, it does tie in with the two ways of thinking, which is why I start there. I start with the left and right brain thinking, because the right brain thinking gives you access to non-ordinary reality. So non-ordinary reality, broadly speaking, can be, we can talk about all the things that don't fall into the logical, rational, left brain thinking, which our world runs on. So things like love, faith, feelings, intuitions, all that falls into non-ordinary reality. But now going even further, non-ordinary reality or extraordinary reality is the world of spirit. It's the world of dreams. It's the world of intuition. It's the world of the right brain. And it's also the world beyond what we can normally see. Now, some people are able to see beyond the normal. And we've had reports written since the beginning of time of fairy realms, of accesses to other dimensions, of angels, of all of that falls in the world of non-ordinary reality. On the level of creation and manifestation, certainly according to Jung, we have this idea of archetypes, which is basically like a blueprint of creation. So underpinning the physical reality is the world of archetypes. So for instance, you can have the archetype of mother. That's the general consensus beliefs and attitudes around a mother, and that creates a blueprint. This is what a mother looks like as far as the consensus is concerned. That is the collective consensus in the collective unconscious. Then you have your own personal unconscious, and your experience of mother might be a little bit different. So these ideas, these blueprints, these vessels of energy really are contained below the level of consciousness in our unconscious. And they do affect us. They affect our thinking, they affect our activity, and they affect the whole of reality as we see it. Now, I like to work in that area before things are manifest from the non-physical form, when they're still in creation and go into the physical. So you can come there and work on that level and discover that things in the physical world will change as you've discovered yourself, almost sort of strangely, and you can't link the two, because the one is thinking in the one way and the other is thinking in the other way. So there's no logical way you can explain why you can, for instance, go and call for an image of healing. You can talk to that image, you can change that image, and then suddenly, I don't know, suddenly there might be a cure for whatever you're suffering from, or something crosses your path, or something happens and you don't even link it to the work you've done. But what you've done is you've opened up the doorways of something bigger, something out of the ordinary. And that is the one thing I talk about, is in order to do this work, you've got to believe in miracles and wonders. You've got to believe in the non-ordinary, the extraordinary, because if you're expecting, just on a simplistic level, if you're expecting your body, which is this extraordinary miracle of creation, to suddenly do amazing feats of healing, which it can do overnight, you've got to believe in the impossible sometimes, And in fact, I read recently, where did I read? I read recently somebody said that when the reason the placebo effect works is when somebody believes that something's going to work, just that instruction from the brain causes healing, sort of whatever it is, healing thingy, to go healing, the whole healing response starts in the body. The minute the brain actually really believes, or the being or the person really believes that something's going to work. And that's why the placebo effect works. So belief is very, very, very important. Faith and trust, which I also cover in the work. That's why I talk about renewing faith and trust, because I think it's one of the things that's missing in the world at large, because we're so into empirical evidence, and it's not fashionable to think of miracles unless you're in Pentecostal church or something like that, and we want everything explained and empirically quantified and measured, and we've got all these labels for things, and yet every single day extraordinary things happen that nobody can explain, and that then teams of people go off to explain it. So faith and trust is very important, but when you have been under par for a long time, your faith and trust might be wearing a bit thin, particularly if you've tried this and you've tried that and you've tried the next thing and nothing works. And it's critically important to anchor faith and trust. So that is one of the processes that is here, is anchoring faith and trust. In what, in whom, that is up to you. This work caters to all religions and all faiths. your image of the divine and connection with spirit is very, very important, because going back to your original question, what is the non-ordinary world? That is the world of spirit.
So what would somebody expect? What would the process feel like, or what would somebody go through by doing these processes?
Look, it's very gentle work. So for some people, it can bring up a lot of emotion. Bearing in mind, as I said before, and I do say in the processing, this is not the place where you're processing past painful incidents. So if you go into areas, particularly in the processes where you're doing disconnection with people, events, and places that may not be positively impacting your health, I do set up a lot of protection, because we're working with the angelic realms, we're working with the divine, whatever your image of the divine is. So all that is in place. Because of course, as we know, time and space does not really exist in the space that we're doing this work. So even though I have recorded this, I am there with the person doing the work. So if something comes up that that is frightening, there is processing there that will actually help you. So we're not reliving events, we're not going past and churning things up. I don't believe in that. It's very light, it's very gentle. In the clearing processes, you can expect to feel a great sense of aha, a great sense of wow, that's amazing. You can also feel a great sense of relief and release. Obviously, it can make you tired. So the way it's set up is that you have enough space after the process to relax. The processes that are building and strengthening are going to make you, for example, the balancing of the elements can make you feel very good, very grounded, very positive. This is a process that you can do every single day if you like. I do give you very, very clear instructions. Nothing can go wrong if you follow the instructions. Do it in the sequence, because what I'm really asking people to do is to do each of the three processes 3 times. You know, the magic of 3. So you work through the first process, which is transforming beliefs around health. And then if you find that you feel that you need to do some more, you do it again. And you might decide to do that 2 or 3 times. Then you go on to the next one, clearing obstacles to health and healing. Again, if you feel that you've cleared enough for the moment, remembering that everything is for the moment, it works in layers, you go deeper and deeper each time you do it, that's fine. Then you do the third one, which is disconnecting and releasing non-beneficial connections. Once you've done those 3, I'd like a break, and then you do it again. And you do those 3 times. Because each time it will go deeper, and each time what you're ready to confront, that's the intent that we set. We're working with clear intent at all times. So we set the intent that what you're ready to release and let go of is what will arise. So we don't go looking for things. We don't go and I make this quite clear, particularly also in the book. We don't go looking for, oh, I think this happened at that time and I'm going to now go and find this thing and release it. We don't work like that. Things are hidden from consciousness for a reason, and we respect that. When you're ready to confront things, when you're ready to deal with things, then they will be revealed. So that is how I work, very gently, very lightly. So you can expect to feel a great sense of release, particularly with the balancing and aligning processes. A great, when you anchor faith and trust, you're going to feel really good. You're going to really feel connected. And the other one, which is creating your container for health. If you want to contain health and healing, you need a container, which is a very central theme to my work. It's in my book called Money Well, How to Contain Wealth, which is also how to contain anything else in your life. So that, and then when we do the last journey, that's going to really, really leave you shining and feeling thumbs up. So generally speaking, these processes should make you feel relieved, lighter, brighter, groovier, happier, and healthier. That's, of course, we're making no claims. We're not dealing with clearing disease here. We're building up the matrix of health. That's what we're doing. So we're not, claiming cures. We're not asking you to go off your medicine or not see your doctor. Full disclaimer on all fronts, which is contained in the work and on the website. And my website is moneyalchemy.com, which I'm sure will be put somewhere there as well. So yeah, that's what I think. I think it's a good experience. It's a journey. You should enter it as if you're going on a quest, you're going on a journey, and you're going to now open up the space for health, because that is something I talk about a lot in the book as well. the book that goes with this MP3, well, doesn't go with it, but it's advisable to take it with it. I talk about creating a space to live in, a space of health, creating the you that is the healthy you. Because when you've lived in a space of non-health for a long enough time, it becomes very comfortable to live there, even though it's unpleasant, like anything else. And I think one of the reasons that a lot of the healing doesn't stick, so to speak, is because people are not used to living in this other space. I mean, I've used my own personal examples. You know, I lived with anxiety most of my life, from, you know, a young child into my 20s. And after it had been transformed as a result of quite a lot of intensive mind training and all the rest, it's something I lived with every single day. And when it was gone for a long time, I would like look for it. You know, you sort of go through a day and it hasn't come, and you're sort of waiting for it to come. And it takes you a long time to realize that it's like gone, you know?
Doesn't have to
The
come.
same if you have chronic neck pain, or, you know, I use a lot of my own healing examples in the book. You look for it and you don't believe it, almost. Not that you want it back, but you're not used to living in this new space. I mean, what? You mean I can walk around now? I don't feel anxious. I mean, what is this? So it's that same sort of thing. So you have to spend some considerable time creating a new space to live in, a new healthy space to live in, and decide, what does that actually mean? You know, what does it mean? What does it feel like? And you have to start by making believe, so to speak, in the first instance, because you haven't lived there. You know, some people haven't lived there for years and years and years. And it's very scary leaving the old place. No matter how freaky the old place may be, no matter how uncomfortable, it's the known. So that is also another important factor to remember. So that's why I say enter it like a journey, like a quest, like a new journey. It is a new journey.
Absolutely.
Or a new you, really.
And I think, you know, what you said when you were talking about the disclaimer, it's something that we say all the time as well with our products. And I think this this process fits in so well with our products, because we're not, you know, none of our products were designed to overcome an ailment. They were all designed to create an environment in the body where healing can take place, or where your body can do what it's naturally supposed to do. And I think this process is much along the same lines. It's not going to cure you of cancer. It's not going to get rid of your diabetes. It's not going to, you know, fix any ailments, but it helps create an environment of health in your mind, where your mind feels healthy and your mind starts becoming used to being healthy. And that creates an environment in your whole body where health can reside, where health can grow. And it works so well with everything that we're doing as well. That's why I was so excited to be able to offer this to our customers, because creating an environment of health, you know, and I love this process in conjunction with our products, because we're affecting the physical and we're affecting the emotional. So, you know, it's my personal opinion is that you can't just take something to make your body stronger. You know, I've seen people who, you know, I've seen somebody who smokes a pack of cigarettes every day and is 75 years old, and they've smoked a pack of cigarettes for, you know, 60 years or 40 years, 50 years. Yet they're the epitome of health. They're as strong as an ox. They eat eggs and bacon every day, you know, everything that should be wrong with their body, but they're perfectly healthy. And then I've seen somebody who teaches yoga and is a vegan and all of the things that you're supposed to do, but they're sick. They have cancer or they have something like this. And the only thing that I've been able to determine as the difference between those people is their state of mind. You know, that old farmer who smokes a pack of cigarettes a day is really happy and really content with his life. And, you know, his emotional state and his mental state is very healthy. And then that person who's sick, but a vegan, and, you know, not that being vegan is going to make you sick, but, you know, somebody who's the epitome of health or doing everything that health should be, yet they have cancer or some kind of debilitating disease. And I think that ties back to, you know, your state of mind. So when you can create a state of health in your mind, then it's much easier for your body to fall into suit.
Yeah, and also, your energetics, clearing the energetic patterns, which is what we're talking about, shifting the patterns that have been there for a long time. You mentioned hereditary genetics. I mean, a lot of people they honestly believe that they're going to have to get XYZ thing because their mothers, grandmothers, and whoever got it. Now, it has been proven that genetics and DNA is not the way people thought it is. So, in fact, you don't have to be the victim of any genetic predisposition. And the fact is that DNA is in a state of movement and can be changed. It's not fixed. It's not sort of, as they believe that you're born with this DNA. It's in a constant state of movement, as we are. Flow and movement is one of the things that I talk a lot about. We are basically energy. It goes back to ordinary and non-ordinary realities. It's how are we viewing ourselves? And are we viewing ourselves as something that's made out of, bone and matter? In fact, if you start going into the quantum physics, you find that there's lots of space and very little matter. In fact, we're mostly made of space. From another perspective, we're mostly made of water. So either way, we're made of something that's quite flowy. It's not solid. And often disease is made solid when people define it and make it solid. This thing is now this. You can make it unsolid by choosing to believe something different, often. It's very interesting. In fact, I read also that, I think it's one of Richard Moss's books, that all these viruses, bacteria, cancers, they move through one's body at various times. And if at a certain point you frame freeze and you stop, and you label, it's like, oh my God, this thing's moving through. Now I have, whatever, bloblitis, if you let it move through, often it'll just move through. And I have experienced that in my own life with conditions. And my husband is the master of that. He believes anything that's happening is the result of something moving through, energy moving through, something transforming. He has sat there clutching his chest at night where I've been thinking, God, does he need the doctor, And he had pains in his heart at one stage for quite a while. And they moved through it. He was like, no, it's a release. He believes everything's a release. It's an emotional release. It's a release. It's an energetic release going through the body. And it's very interesting that other medical systems, for example, the traditional Chinese, Tibetan, Vedic systems, they look at the body in terms of energetic flows. And in terms of just to keep it very simple, I go into that in the book as well. Let's keep it simply as energy flow. So when you go and you are diagnosed, per se, they look at whether your flows are flowing correctly. They're not concerned so much with, do you have X disease, Y disease? They're not curing the disease. They're trying to reestablish the vital flow of energy in your body. That's it. It's actually quite an amazing thing if you think about it. You think about how, on the one hand, we have a diagnosis of disease and give it a name, then give it a drug, give it a cure, give it a treatment. And on the other hand, it's like disease parked somewhere there. It's like, how is your body flowing? How is your energy flowing? We are electromagnetic. We're made of energy. We're made of light, actually. So that sort of background, which I go into in the book, is very important to try and shift one's fundamental approach to a health condition. Because often these conditions don't stick because people refuse to believe in them.
It's so funny. It's the world over. I've been in Peru with some traditional Peruvian shamans, and they also always speak about a blockage. They don't say you have liver cancer or something like that. They say you have a blockage in your liver or a blockage in your kidneys. And then they do different kinds of herbal medicines and everything to release that blockage so that the energy can flow. And I think that's a very important kind of note to take away from this, is that this whole, like you said, this whole thing of attacking an ailment or providing a medicine for an ailment is kind of a very Western thing. When you look at very old traditional medicines, Ayurvedic medicine and everything, it's just about removing a blockage. And once the flow is reestablished, the ailment goes away. So I think there's a lot that this processing can do around your mental state, what you perceive to be a sickness or a disease. It's actually just something, you know, emotional that needs to be cleared and processed, and then the flow can return and health can return.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and the element, you know, we are made. I say we're made of this, we're made of this, but fundamentally we're also made of the elements. You know, we're made of earth, fire, water, the elements. And in the old days, the ancient Greeks spoke of the humors, and they saw that as different flows of liquid in the body, the phlegmatic, sanguine, can't remember what, choleric. And in fact, there's many traditions that still follow that approach. The anthroposophists are one of them. And restoring health, because when you talk about, you know, healing, and you have to then define what is health, you know, what does it mean? And health basically means balance. And balance of what? Balance of the elements, for instance. And we are made of the elements, and this is why I provide a balancing of the elements process, so that we can balance the elements within us. Because again, in traditional Chinese medicine at least, and the Vedic ones, I think, they look at one being out of balance. You've got too much fire, you know, you don't have enough water. So the elements are not in balance, and therefore that will create a disharmony in the body, which will create a dis-ease in the body. So that's another way of looking at it, and remembering again that we are mainly water. And certainly according to that book, The Body's Many Cries for Water, written by the man whose name I can't pronounce, is Iranian, Dr. something unpronounceable. I've mentioned that in the book. Most or many degenerative diseases are the result of nothing more than chronic dehydration. Beginning, end of chat. And I believe in the small details. So I do believe that sometimes something very small, like perhaps you're dehydrated, can create amazing results, you know. And you might not think it. You know, you might be sitting there really in some condition, and perhaps really you need water, you know. And on that subject, I'm going to drink some.
Awesome. Well, Kiki, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. It's been an absolute honor, and I'm really looking forward to getting this out to our customers and seeing what the reaction is and how people are benefiting from it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting some feedback and some positive results. Actually, the website for this particular thing is healingtransformations.kikitheo.com. So
Perfect.
anybody wants to write in and so on and so forth. But you're going to do all that advertising and sending off things. So
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining me. We'll talk to you soon.
good.
Bye-bye.
Bye.